do that consistently.
2002 finalist, lost to his good friend Andy Roddick. Since then, Blake has not been able to put together back-to-back match wins here in Memphis. Has an 8-9 record, and that's some of the difficulty that you're speaking to. The fact that in the Emirates ATP rankings, he's seen himself seesaw up and down a bit. Just a top 10 finish maybe 5 years ago, but far removed from that now as he tries to march back up.
3 minutes.
Now across the net from him, after the veteran biographies, let's talk about the youngster and what he possesses. Now out of his teens, but the 20-year-old still really trying to find what could be his top form. And each and every time he steps on the court, he too is starting to realize that potential, starting to believe in his game.
Yeah, and as well he should. Everybody's going to see why tonight. This guy has humongous firepower, huge off the first serve, huge off the second serve, just possesses that live arm. American pitchers have it. Throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a huge forehand, very heavy, and he likes the big stage. We saw that at the US Open where he progressed to the third round. This is where he can do his damage on a center court night match in a big event like this against a familiar foe in James Blake.
Yeah, just his second time in traveling to Memphis, but he's already made a splash, taking out the runner-up the last 2 years, Milos Raonic. We'll see if Jack Sock has more left, if he can accomplish great things against James Blake tonight. Well, there hasn't been a meeting on the ATP World Tour between these two. The only time they met previously was in a challenger in Sacramento in 2011 in the quarterfinals as Blake started to find his way through challenger events to try to up his ranking. He managed to defeat Sock 6-4, 6-2. But this is a whole different kettle of fish, as they might say, in this region of the Mid-South. It's a ATP World Tour 500 event. The crowd really starting to stream in to see that name Blake and see what this young man, Jack Sock, has in store. Potentially the future of American men's tennis. It remains to be seen. The results haven't quite come yet, but there is stuff that seems to indicate that that might be the case. The Irishman, Fergus Murphy, in the chair for tonight's matchup. So you talked a little bit about what Jack Sock possesses, what he has as far as what's getting everybody all kinds of giddy about the future for this young man from Nebraska. What is it that you have seen in the recent days? San Jose, he was also involved there, losing to Matosevic in the opening round. But there's been a lot of talk for a couple years now that this guy is a real guy who's going to climb. We saw that in evidence in the Emirates ATP rankings.
Yeah, look, it's the serve and the forehand, and just the desire to be out there and play big matches. That's something that it's very hard to teach. It's very difficult to instill that on a young player. He has to want it. He has to embrace the adversity and the challenges, and that's what Jack Sock does. He's hired Joachim Nystrom, who did an excellent job coaching Jürgen Meltzer, got him to a career high. He's a very good player himself, a Swedish former top 10 player, and he's a hard worker, Nystrom, as well. Works with Gil Reyes a little bit in Las Vegas.
13-year discrepancy in the age between James Blake and Jack Sock. One, an established veteran who's been a top 5 player. One who is trying to make his way towards the top 100 in the rankings in the nascent days of his career. Jack Sock, what does he have in store for James Blake? He'll bring a lot of power. He brings a lot of confidence. There's some swagger. You remember James Blake back in the height of his powers. He had some swagger too. So something's got to give for these two wild cards tonight. James Blake won the coin toss, elected to serve first. He'll try to bring some firepower to the proceedings as he begins this round of 16 matchup to see who will move through to the last 8 in Memphis.
Assertive start, but with Jack Sock, you look at somebody like James Blake, where will you attack? Well, second serve is one area that isn't really as good as a lot of the top players in the world. He's got a good first serve, incredible forehand. Second serve is impeccable. And that's why you need to attack it, because if you don't, James Blake will attack you. He's one of the most aggressive players ever to play the sport. I like what Sock's doing, attacking second serves. Like, should have just gone with the backhand pass there. But he knows Sock gets close to the net. He's playing golf with him this week.
14.
One advantage of playing doubles with your opponent is you get familiar with the spins, the service speeds. Basically,
no need to challenge Jack. He heads back to return. And Blake does a nice job just flicking the backhand for the winner, and a 1-love start for James.
First 10.
So a little resistance to open things up, but no damage done for Blake. We'll get a chance to see what Jack Sock has in his bag of tricks to start off this matchup. Sock's coming off what was a difficult Australian Open. He had split sets with Paul Capdeville in his matchup down under before he sprained his right ankle. And that led to some trouble in trying to find his way back to get up to his ultimate fitness, and worked so hard in the off-season in trying to produce a good result and get himself ready for the start of the season. The opening round of qualifying, trailing 1-3 to Capdeville. The win over Raonic was such a terrific performance, really making people sit up and take notice, not only because he took out the two-time runner-up at this event in the last 2 years. But also because he was able to post his first match win in the ATP World Tour this year. So it really was a major upset in so many regards, because Jack hadn't produced anything to speak of on the season at this point. Challenge from Blake goes unchanged. Sock saved 8 of 9 break points in the match. It's his first ever win versus a top 20 opponent.
So impressive. Jack Sock's 20 years of age. 7-8 years ago, that was commonplace for a young player to challenge the best, to even win slams. We saw that from guys like Nadal, Murray, Del Potro, Bedic, the whole crop of top players. Now it's not the case. You don't see 20-year-olds beating somebody like Neil Australian. Tomic really is the only exception. Ryan Harrison, he was one of the best teenagers, but it's not commonplace now for a guy 20 years of age to be beating somebody like Milos Raonic, a guy that did not get broken, faced one break point en route to that title in San Jose last week.
It's not to take anything away from Sock's victory, because it certainly was a terrific performance he put together. Raonic traveling from San Jose, where he won his third title there in the Northern California Bay Area. Traveled across to get to Memphis and put himself in position, but it was Raonic not taking advantage of those chances. Again, Sock able to save 8 of 9 break points. That is a fantastic performance no matter what your rank. Particularly against a guy who has such a powerful serve of his own. Raonic, that's all he needs. You give him a break here, there, just 1%, done and dusted. Didn't happen. And Sock advances. And they're all growing stuff, frankly. It's all a process now for Sock. He's shown he has the physical tools, but there's so much more to be able to move now beyond 150 in the world, up in the top 100.
Yeah, I expect he'll be in the top 100 very quickly, but yeah, for him to get as good as what he hopes for, yeah, there's a lot that has to happen. He's off to a good start. I think the players are maturing. Guys like Marty Fish getting to a career high at 29, 30 years of age, and so you're looking at Jack Sock and saying he's got a 7 to 9 year window where his game's going to continue improving. You look at what we're going to see tonight, and you think, geez, how good will this guy be if he continues to improve for 9 years? Just a little bit fortunate here. James Blake was ready to pounce on a short forehand there. Drops this ball a little bit short. He's got a huge forehand that's a big weapon. He's got a big serve. First and second. Joachim Nystrom. Yeah, get to work on that backhand.
30-15. Sock challenging the call, right service line. Ball was called in.
Sock already moving over. Doesn't really believe, at least seemingly wholeheartedly, in his challenge. Because it was as spot on as you could be. Perfect placement from Blake. Pick up the ace.
Sock has 2 challenges.
Sock lose one of his challenges in the set. Shanks the return, and it is James Blake who finds himself out in front. Easy goings, a couple of comfortable holds from each. We move on in Memphis. top of the 9 o'clock hour as people starting to stream in, continuing to join us here at the Racquet Club of Memphis, particularly inside the stadium court. Always a social scene here in the South. Memphis is no exception, and also a chance to see James Blake in action, and perhaps that rising star of Jack Sock starting to make people sit up, take notice as he serves 1-2. Of course, Jack Sock has already achieved some great glory. He is already a major champion.
Yeah, US Open mixed doubles.
Melanie Oudin, quite the partnership 2 years ago. Hoisting the trophy. Mixed discipline. Great effort from the two of them. And of course, for Sock, just one way to build up more confidence. We talked about it before, what doubles experience can do to inform and bolster your singles prowess.
It's just nice to, whatever happens, Jack Sock is destined for some greatness, but he's got a Grand Slam anyway already.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do not use any flashlight photography. No flash, please.
Blake is really one of the most aggressive players ever to play the sport. He just tried to chip that return, but usually he's taking big cuts off both sides. And he recently did some work at the Davis Cup tie, USA versus Brazil, commentating for Tennis Channel. It was interesting to hear him say that he's heard so many times from coaches, just get the ball in, just play percentages, and he said it just never worked. He said, you can't have it both ways. When I rip a winner to bring up break point or do something, it gets me to 4 in the world. I got to 4 in the world because I can play this sort of tennis. It's a good stretch. Jack Sock is carving the outside of the ball. Good court awareness, just getting the ball where his opponent isn't. But James brought up a good point. Don't say great shot when I play a low percentage shot to win a match, and then criticize me when I miss it.
Yes, high risk tennis in a lot of ways. Quick steps. He's got the great footwork. He's really, well, certainly at his height of powers, he was one of the fastest in tennis. And
right.
You couple that with the aggressive stance, it's going to sometimes just not always work out.
He's an intelligent guy. Went to Harvard, and he figured out the style of tennis that gave him the best chance of success. Now, it's not always going to work. Nobody's style does. Got him to 4 in the world.
And when you have developed that confidence in that aspect, an expression they use here in the Mid-South and throughout is, you go to the dance with the one who brung you. What got you there. Don't suddenly dump that. Invite somebody else to dance with you. That doesn't do too well for your chances on the night. So, for James Blake, he's continuing to plug away. Aggressive by nature, and he has a 3-2 lead.
the USTA Certified Professional. Find one in your area today by visiting USPTA.findapro.com. Learn from those committed to growing tennis and improving the game. United States Professional Tennis Association, setting the standard for tennis instruction.
Back with Jack Sock, James Blake, two American wild cards trying to find their way into the last 8 at this ATP World Tour 500 events. The U.S. National Indoor Championships, Memphis, Tennessee, that has seen some of the great names in all of men's tennis over the course of this tournament. Andre Agassi, Stefan Edberg, Jim Courier. Andy Roddick champion multiple times. Jimmy Connors back in the day winning this thing 4 times. Back-to-back years in 78, 79, as well as 83, 84. Bjorn Borg won back in 1977. McEnroe a couple years later. I mean, just a litany of Hall of Famers and some tremendous athletes, and of course, well, pretty solid tennis players overall.
Love 15.
Certainly things have opened up in the bottom section of the draw where these two occupy space. They do have the 3-time champion, Tommy Haas, the ageless wonder at 34. German will take the court against the Spaniard Feliciano Lopez later, but many of the seeds have started to go by the wayside. Verdasco, the 8 seed, begged out of the tournament before it even began. That allowed Michael Russell to get in as a lucky loser. He's made the most of it, getting to the quarterfinals. He'll face Dennis Istomin. Isner and Raonic were both in this section of the draw. They're gone. So this is a real golden opportunity at a big event to really pick up some valuable ranking points and make a move.
Both these players have huge forehands, very different forehands. Sock has a lot of action on the ball. The ball gets up and down very quickly, where James's forehand is a lot flatter, just more of a linear leg stroke. It was a difficult ball for Sock to change direction on and try and go down the line. He just wasn't able to get his feet set, just didn't have enough room to pull the trigger. So as a result, his ball went through the middle of the court, and then Blake was able to expose what was open. Pretty poor defense from Sock in the end.
First serve. Sock.
Blake will be upset with himself because he's just trying to chip that return. When you chip a return, it's only designed to go in. It doesn't have a whole lot of upside. You're trying to win the point.
Game Sock.
Good power, the flick of the wrist puts it deep into the corner, and Blake has no response, and he'll rue the chance that could have been a 4-2 lead that instead has extended to 3-all.
Sock got out of jail a little bit there. 2 double faults. Just playing a poor service game. A couple of big poor serves got out of jail.
Love 15.
Yeah, he's right. He got there in time. He's trying to play sort of a squash-like forehand slice. It wasn't necessary. He was there. He was able to hit a normal forehand.
$30-15.
And Blake Sock probably could have come in a little bit earlier. Probably should have come in off that ball. Instead, Blake kind of drew him in.
Speed to burn. And he's back in front, opening set.
Balls in. Hope to get the chance. I'm going to give you all 6. It's going to go that direction. Got him? Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, All-American round of 16 match. 6 Americans amongst the last 16. Most have not fared well. Only Michael Russell able to push through thus far, and obviously something has to give with Blake versus Sock. Falling today was the qualifier Ryan Williams, losing to Dogopolov. Sam Querrey, the 4 seed, lost to Matosevic, and it was Donald Young falling to Nishikori. So the American hopes and expectations of Isner, Querrey, they have been dismissed already. So maybe it's time to see the emergence of Jack Sock, or it's a little late boost. Golden years for James Blake. Quarterfinal for both at stake as we continue on to the 8th game of the opening set.
15.
The Blake of old coming to the forefront again, that aggressive stance, big on the return, following it up, and the put away had a ton of pop to it. Still strikes the ball well.
Yeah, he does. Anything within his wingspan, he's going to take a big cut off.
And that's definitely the key. Obviously, Sock knows this coming in. He's been instructed as much so is that if you get it anywhere where Blake is able to position himself, you better be ready. That thing coming back at you like it's fired out of a cannon. It's to try to move him out of his comfort zone, get him off balance.
Yeah.
Sock has to be careful. He's starting to lose his cool a bit.
30-40.
Slams a ball into the stands. Nobody in that section nearby to be harmed in any way, but still has to maintain his focus. Facing break point, affording Blake the chance to serve for the set if he can convert. Good serve, kind of handcuffing James as break point is raced.
One thing that Sock doesn't possess is particularly great feel. He wasn't comfortable with that shot. Tried a drop shot a couple of games ago, and until he learns to develop that part of his game, he's just got to go with what he's comfortable at. Just big. Forehand side. He missed that drop shot 2 games ago. He was lining up to the short forehand. No reason to not hit a big point every time. That's his strength. He's got one of the better forehands in the game. You can understand that he's not quite as comfortable on the backhand, so kind of looks for different options. Just simplify. You get a short forehand, just pull the trigger every time.
Mentioned all of the 10 titles that James Blake has accrued during the course of his career. The last came in 2007. Hard to believe it's already been 5.5 years since James was able to win the title in New Haven, the final stop before the U.S. Open. All of his titles have come on a hard surface, and it's no surprise that it suits his game well. The foot speed, the power, the aggression.
Down the line is an important shot for both these players, just to keep your opponents off balance, to stop them from camping out and dictating with their forehands.
A smart move by the veteran. If he had brought back the same amount of power on that final shot, Sock was in place, actually taking a bit off, led to him winning the point.
He did well. A swing forehand volley off the ball that was getting low.
Yeah, if he'd gone with it with full power, he probably might not have even cleared the net. Really had to finesse it over and avoid triple break point.
30.
Remember, James was a point away from serving for the set. He's just trying to get himself back out in front. And a well-constructed point by Sock, just using his forehand to just push Blake around, and it gets him to break point.
He's had some success running around in forehands, baiting Blake to go. Missed opportunities. Each was a point away from serving for the set. Instead, we remain on serve. No breaks. Blake out front. 5-4. One of the areas that Jack Sock's going to try to improve upon is definitely his placement of shot and to get it deep into the court, because when he leaves it short, James Blake is too strong. He can move so well. He's got that downward movement that is so effective. Yeah, well, not only that, but it's just happening too often. You can't have more than half of your balls landing short against anybody, even one James Blake.
Yeah, so 56% of the time the ball's falling in the short section of the court, and that's not good enough. But it hasn't hurt him to this point. Neither has been broken. A couple break points faced by both, and chances, particularly in the last two games, to serve for the set. But it has not come to fruition. So now Sock serving to stay in the set rather than to finish it off.
And he's got such a live forehand, so much work on the ball that the last thing he should be concerned about is the ball going long. There's so much topspin that will bring the ball down. That's the shot of the team. Backhand side. It's not only that he's missing, it's just how badly he's missing on some of these shots. Great point. The ball just in the bottom of the net. He's missed one long by 10, 12 feet.
Love footing. Let's first one.
Things have begun dismally in this 10th game for Jack Sock. Very uneven performance to try to get through and make it 5-all, and the errors are going to hurt him if Sock can't come up with something special facing set points.
Yeah, it's not just consistency that players want through the week, through the year, as far as putting results together. It's putting consistent games together. Maturity, but this set's just been a little all over the place. Service games where you're double faulting twice indoors, it shouldn't happen. Letting Blake defend from well behind the baseline, just allowing him to just really get back into the point. Some of these balls, he's quite a confident volley, Jack Sock. It's more about just coming in and taking advantage of the damage he's doing.
Got Blake on the run in the previous point, almost 20 meters more for James as he has a third set point. And that has also been dismissed. So Sock doing a solid job when he needs to. Continues to push Blake back when he is being pressured against his serve. No breaks in this opening set as of yet. Blake 3 times denied from the 1-set advantage. Wow. Not expected after saving 3 set points with some pretty solid play. Offers up another double fault.
That's what I mean, just about consistency. Just in a game, he's got a very high level, but it's sporadic and up and down.
Yeah, and you said indoors. I mean, you shouldn't have 3 double faults in a match, let alone one game.
Exactly.
4th set point. And the hard part is you're going to think, all right, so Jack Sock going forward, is he going to learn some lessons here? Keeps getting away with it. He's playing with fire. I mean, he can almost be singed by where the flames are getting close, but he seems to just be able to pull away at the last second. Blake has yet to make him pay the price here in this first set. He'll have a 5th try now.
Well, he's got the weapons to get himself out of trouble, but ideally that's not what you use weapons for.
Yeah, you want it to advance your cause, not to defend it. And another fantastic response. A good meter from the center line of the serve. He positions himself often almost more towards the double alley than he does right there in the center position.
Yeah, I'm coaching Max Miller and Rory DeCow, who actually lost to James Blake and Jack Sock this week, and that's one thing they said was Sock's serve is very difficult to read. He's able to go with the kick toss and then particularly on the outside, he goes kick toss and then serves up the tee. Getting up to that ball. Phenomenal second serve. He had a relatively easy forehand, but didn't move up to the ball quickly enough, and as a result the ball just got too low.
Sock.
14th point being put in play. Sock trying to get to 5-all. Longest game in both points and duration as you see the time start to continue to tick towards the 8-minute mark. Gets the 5-all with a miraculous backhand shot cross court. Great stuff.
Sort of what you were talking about, almost negative reinforcement. Shouldn't really be trying that drop shot indoors. Stick to getting big forehand. Flick of the wrist. Pretty impressive improvisational skills, but wouldn't want to rely on having to get a shot like that too often.
And almost forgotten in the exchange there at the end. Blake making a pretty good cross-court shot, and Sock answering it with something special. It was 5 set points were taken down by Sock.
We
have to like the idea, the thought process was there. Execution lacking.
Yeah, it's the right shot. Getting a second serve at love 30, taking the ball on, you're forcing your opponent to come up with a pass.
All right, so 5 chances for Blake in the previous game. They were set points as well as break points. We still have yet to have a break in this match. Here is Jack Sock's opportunity. Grab the upper hand. Wrestle the lead away. Serve for the set.
So Sock challenging the call, right far sideline. Ball was called in.
Fergus Murphy said it pretty well. Sack doesn't really believe in his challenge. Actually does prove his point. He did believe it. I apologize, Jack. You're back to receive a second serve, aren't you? And he gets the double fault, and James Blake suffers the first break of the match, and Jack Sock will serve for the opening set here in Memphis.
Tennis fans, you can enjoy a live jazz music while eating a New Orleans themed lunch at the Live Jazz Tournament. Taking place this Sunday at the Memphis Hall, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tickets are only $17.95. The tickets are purchased at Rockefeller Limited stock.
Bit of a hole burrowed through the shoe of Jack Sock. I'm not going to say it, but you can see through the shoe. Actually, it's the tread that seems to wear thin. Upper part of the shoe, but Sock likes his chances in this opening set. Back in Memphis, Jack Sock looking to knock out James Blake in the opening set. Saved 5 set points by the veteran, and now has a break to put himself in the best and most advantageous position. We'll see what the 20-year-old has in store for this 12th game. Coaching hat on you, Ashley Fisher, and let's ask you, good shot selection?
No. No, I'm more frustrated than Jack is seeing that. This is when you just need to simplify things. You're serving for the set. You're in a lucky position based on how you played your last set. And just know why you're a good player, and it's from hitting serves and forehands. It's not from having exquisite feel.
I have to admit, I kind of knew where you're going with that answer. I thought saw you almost throw yourself out the booth here. Frustration. Why would you play a drop shot from the forehand at that angle? But that's part of the process. It's how you elevate your standing and find your way through your professional career, knowing when and when not to, more importantly, sometimes go to certain shots. And Sock 2 points away.
I'm still in shock that he has a big hole in his shoe. Oh, that's a nasty serve if it's in. Fergus Murphy overruled. That's a live arm. It was called a fault. To get the angle of the serve.
Oh, that's not as fast as he was in his prime, but tremendous effort to get over and put that ball in play one more time.
Well, that's exactly right. To put himself in that position to nullify the spin, he was taken out of court, took the ball early, and then to be able to recover into the open court. Sock did nothing wrong with the first forehand. Would have worked against 90% of the players here. 33 years of age.
And that shows the adage, just make your opponent play one more point. Get it back in play, you never know. And Jack Sock starting to come undone a bit here.
Thanks, madam. Can we have our ball back, please?
Oh, the gentleman, Fergus Murphy.
Thank you.
Don't get to keep the balls that go in the stands here. It's not Flushing Meadows.
World team tennis.
Big opportunity for James. Force a tiebreak.
In a row that were just landing on the service line. James Blake, normally such an aggressive player, and a big part of that is seeing that Sock is sort of self-destructing a little bit, feeling like he just, for once, like kind of following every coach's advice when they say just force your opponent to come up with a few shots. Set point number 2 for 20-year-old.
Blake challenge to be called. Right center service line. Ball was called in.
Well, neither James Blake nor Ashley Fisher, as I see him standing next to me, indicating no, that ball was out. Believe that it was going in as an ace on set point. Confirmation for Blake. Look at a second serve. They'd like to respond too. Getting an earful from Sock saying, "What am I doing?" Oh, they're going to let you know post-match. Can't do much to help you right now. That time will come.
To try a little feel shot. The ball then could have just hit a regular forehand off. Got there plenty of time. No reason not to actually just hit better forehand passers. A little more difficult than most forehand passes, but plenty of time. Shouldn't have been caught with continental grip or slice grip. That's where, as a coach, you've got to get frustrated when you see a guy, a player, actually win a point and still expressing a negative emotion. Just come on, just put your head down. 2 more good first serves and drink of water. And that's supposed to be negative in any case, certainly when after you've won a point.
Each with multiple opportunities to finish off the set. This is number 2 for Sock. There's a lot to get excited about. You can see why expectations and hopes are so high, but the sort of histrionics here along the baseline as he sets up for set point number 4, you can see there's a lot to still work on. Composure is one. But he'll feel a lot better about things if he can just wrap up this set. Not yet, says Blake.
You hate to see how he behaves when he's actually losing a set. That's what he needs to remind himself, that he's in control here. He's up, he's serving for the set. No need to get angry with himself between first and second serves on set point up.
And that is Sock.
Now each has had 5 opportunities. With set points, each has been denied all 5 times. Just looks so good from the deuce side. The attack, the execution, construction of points for Jack Sock. It's brilliant. And then he steps over to the other side, and it's just completely gone awry, as if he's momentarily forgotten how to play tennis. 7th try for the opening set. And he finally gets it done. An hour and 3 minutes, including 13 coming in the 12th game, but it's done. And Jack Sock finds his way to a 1-set lead in Memphis.
Not to my street, but I don't know what's wrong.
Chicago, in conjunction with his graduation from Loyola University in New Orleans in 1967.
Well, so Jack Sock trying to figure out how to get comfortable during the sit-down. Finishes off with the last 3 games of set number 1. And here's a look at some of the other statistics that come in the 63 minutes.
Well, the good news, if you're Jack Sock, is you did a lot wrong and you were still able to come out on top. Just 51% first serve percentage. That's not good enough for indoor tennis, but fortunately it was good enough today. He was able to play the big points, down break points very well. Blake 0 for 9, but he won't want to have to bank on saving those sort of break points in the next set.
There was a moment at the end of the opening set that Jack Sock was looking towards the crowd. I believe now that it has come down that we saw there was a hole in his shoe. And it may be that he's asking for a new set of shoes from his camp. He's taken those off. That's what's indicating that he might be looking for a new pair.
Well, I'm not sure what was going on. Jack Sock was actually just applauding.
They're in the locker room next to his bag. They're in the locker room next to his bag.
Now they're
Shoe situation, sort of that.
Well, it seems as though there wasn't a second set of shoes brought to the court, certainly not by Jack, and he seemed to indicate earlier that maybe he wanted them to come, but he's not going to be given the time to wait for them. He's going to have to get back in and begin set number 2. If those shoes do arrive from the locker room, he'll have to wait until the changeover in order to put them on. That seems exactly what Fergus Murphy is articulating to Sock. The shoe change will have to come later. So set number 2 is ready to begin. James Blake, numerous opportunities missed. 0 for 9 in break points, including 5 of them for the set. Now serving as he begins the attempt to come back from a set down.
15 off.
At least the hole is on the top of the shoe and not the bottom.
Let's for some. Let's first serve. 30-40.
I'm not sure he's going to want to go to the second pair of shoes. Performing well to get out. That's what it looks like to take the lead in this second set. And a little help. Doesn't hurt a bit.
First game. Second set.
Continuing to wait for the new shoes to arrive and taking his time. He's hoping they'll come out. I don't think Fergus Murphy's going to give him a chance to change them until after 3 games. Here's an opportunity to see where Sock is having the contact point. The deuce court, it's all in the same position. Ad court, a little more spread out.
Love 15.
And for Sock, he really does move it around considerably, his positioning as he sets up to serve. And so his contact point on the deuce side, he's going to hug in closer to the center of the court. You saw the strike point is pretty consistent throughout. But then when he lines up in the ad court, watch the placement as he goes more towards the doubles alley and moves and alters his position from serve to serve. Here, deuce court, prime example. Hasn't varied at all from this position. Both first and second serve, almost identical placement of where he's striking the ball. Now is where the variation comes in. Sometimes he'll be closer to the doubles alley than he will be to the middle service line. And depending on whether it's first or second serve, he positions himself as such.
At the end of the first set, it seemed like Sock was giving somebody instructions on where his spare pair of shoes were in the locker room. If that's the case, I can't quite figure out how it's taken them so long to get the new shoes. As a humble doubles player myself, I never had a spare pair of shoes, but I'd like to think if I was playing an 8 p.m. match that I would have found another pair of shoes if there was a hole in my shoe.
You're saying he should have come out with those shoes already, either on or in the bag. And
yeah,
certainly.
I'm curious as to the whole story. If the hole just came about in the course of this match, then that's one thing. But
he seemed pretty emphatic about he knew where the other pair were in the locker room. They weren't hidden away.
It's taken too long. You could go and buy a pair of shoes right now. From the time we saw the hole on TV, you've got to Jack knew about it before.
And he's broken right back. And maybe distracted a bit.
Saying there's actually debris coming off his shoes as he's running. It's, you know, as a player, as an athlete, you learn that if you can't control something, you just have to make the best of it. And this is where you just have to deal with it until you get this new pair of shoes. But whatever state his shoe is in, serving double faults, that's not a result of his shoe. It's more a reflection of his mental state and how he's letting the shoe affect him.
Whoa. Hello, James.
More exciting players in the ATP World Tour.
30.
They got away with that one.
He did.
And another really not necessary attempt to go for that big a shot.
Exactly. Well, the jump was what wasn't necessary.
A type of shot, not necessarily a
forehand. He hasn't jumped to hit any of them in the match, so. He's run around on a number of times on the outside to hit a forehand, and he's trying to be offensive, but he's leaving that return way too short. Every one of them has landed on the service line.
Well, we'll see if the shoes arrive for Jack Sock. And here they come. But Blake has a 2-1 lead in set number 2.
Focuses on your project, design to completion. Visit kitchensunlimited.net for more information.
It's such an odd circumstance. I guess the lesson will be learned. If you're going to have any indication that there's a problem with your equipment and your stuff, you've got to come prepared. Bring the extra set with you to the court.
What happens to the shoes that I buy in the Chinese market?
Jack Sock, James Blake, All-American contest to decide a quarterfinalist between two wild cards coming into Memphis. 20-year-old took the opening set 7-5. And after exchanging breaks to begin set number 2, Blake with a hold as Jack Sock putting on some new shoes brought to the court. See if that can turn around his fortune as he tries to get through with straight sets on this Thursday. Still to come, Tommy Haas taking on Feliciano Lopez, three-time champion from Germany, taking on the very talented left-hander from Spain.
Yet to see the 25-second time violation rule enforced, but this will be close. Players have gotten in trouble this year from taking too long after the change of ends and getting back, and Sock is infringing on the time allowed now.
Yeah, Fergus Murphy, the chair umpire, giving Sock a lot of leeway to get those shoes changed, far exceeding the normal time limit for changeovers, as you see. Well beyond the mark. Sock steps in to serve 1-2.
Love 15. Thank you.
Joachim Nystrom did a really good job with Jürgen Melzer, who was a little bit of a hothead, who would look for reasons to get frustrated. And you may have a similar like player here in Jack Sock. Nystrom not here this week. Jose Garris, Jay Berger helping out Jack Sock. Jay Berger was doing a lot of work with Jack Sock during the Davis Cup tie.
Again, Sock, new ball, please.
Yeah, there's still just too many things that it seemed to be bothering Sock. He gets the hold for 2-all. That's the good news. Bad news is there just hasn't been any indication that anything has kept Sock's attention other than distractions away from the tennis court. I mean, he's been bothered by everything. And that's not a good sign.
No, it's not.
And again, he hasn't been hurt by it. It's not anything damaging.
Well, you can look at it two ways. I mean, he was up a break in this set. So played a poor service game to surrender that break back. So it hasn't put him in a losing position, you can say that. Perhaps it has stopped him from really running away with this match.
Fair enough. Good point. It has hurt him per se in the sense that he's on level footing, but he could have the upper hand, and he's already trying to defend a one-set lead. If he wants to get through the straight sets, head to the locker room and await the winner of Haas Lopez, he hasn't helped his chances in doing that in a quick manner.
No. And let's not forget, Blake was the player that initially had all those chances, had a handful of set points, love 40. So he was the player that really should have been erupting in frustration. And Sock had the chance to really put his stranglehold on this match and kick James Blake while he's down, but that hasn't happened. There's been so much focus on Sock's frustration, we forget that Blake was the one that blew the chances initially.
A pair of double faults and Sock within striking, perhaps for picking up the lead once again. And it's fine from the deuce side, Blake. He's been able to produce and get 3 points on the ad side. Can't seem to find the service box.
Deuce.
And the ATP trainers like this court side.
Dance around that line as close as it did, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was actually a good, reasonable pass from Sock. Get the ball down. Good defense from Blake.
Deuce.
Stay with it, the focus he needed to make sure he stood in and found his target.
Yeah, it's just it's a difficult ball to volley in soft forehand because it dips so much. So much work on the ball. It's the flat ball that you can stick your
Deuce.
Just got to tell yourself, too good. Sometimes your opponent takes the record out of
goes tumbling down, but can't avoid being broken. And Jack Sock reclaims the lead. Already is set to the good in Memphis. Out in front, 3-2.
This time is sponsored by Kaiser's Ford Fashion, Memphis and the Mid-South's only family-owned and operated forwarding dealer, celebrating 60 years of service. Visit Kaiser's at either one of their convenient locations in Midtown or Germantown. Managing the WTA's flow of information is complicated. Xerox makes serving up more efficient communications simple. Xerox is a global partner of the Women's Tennis Association and a proud supporter of the U.S. National Indoor Tennis Championships.
Jack Sock has found his way back to the lead. He started the set off with a break of James Blake, but couldn't protect it. Game number 5, he has put himself back in front. This will be a good test. This is what Jose Higueras and the rest of the USTA and American tennis fans are hoping for. They want to see a moment when Jack Sock can really capitalize, take the initiative, show some maturity, and show that he really has started to realize his game is there physically. It's a matter of staying focused mentally. He did so against Milos Raonic yesterday. It was an important victory, the biggest of Jack's young career. And granted, the caliber that's on the other side of the net at this point, not the James Blake of old, is still pretty impressive, but this would be a major stepping stone. All the distractions that have caused and gone on today, if Jack Sock can push through, get through in straight sets to the quarterfinals, it would be a major step in his career.
Just for this match, that's the equivalent of roughly making the finals of a challenger that would probably play some challenges coming up in the US. The equivalent of winning 2 matches next week in Delray Beach. And it's quite a lot when you consider he just has to hold serve 3 times. He will move through the rankings, but you can make life a lot easier just by holding serve the next 3 times in this match.
Out 15 on.
Well, it's been overruled, so at least he wouldn't have to risk losing the point.
And Blake wise not to challenge himself. The fans whistling a bit, not realizing that we have the opportunity. That was not shown inside the stadium court. Fergus Murphy's overrule is validated.
30-15.
Jack Sock's game is inherently uncomfortable to play against. The serve, the forehand, but it gives you a little bit of relief when you look at how he carries on. All of a sudden you're not quite as uncomfortable because you can see how uncomfortable he is mentally.
Now, to be fair, I mean, Jack Sock's not the first guy to come up with immense talent and to have some of these little problems with maintaining focus. I mean, you could go back and there's a litany of some of the most talented tennis players ever.
I agree, but usually it's a little more obvious when they're losing, not winning.
Not when you're up a set and a break. People forget as a junior, one prime example, maybe the greatest of all time. Roger Federer didn't always keep his cool on the court.
That's a good point. It took Federer a while to mature mentally. Unfortunately, no disrespect to guys like Andy Roddick, but he was the guy that would go off, complain, go ballistic at the umpires. It's not like somebody like Jack Sock. If you grew up in Spain, you can look up to David Ferrer and Rafa Nadal and find guys that have got some of the best attitudes you've ever seen. Whereas, Unfortunately, American
Time violation,
tennis
warning, Mr. Sock.
hasn't had mentally stable players at the top to really look up to, guys that overachieve. Attitude.
Advance Mr. Blake challenging the call, left near sideline. Ball was called in.
He lost the first serve. That was the second serve, so this may be a double call.
Call stand.
Huge swing.
Advantage Sock. Blake has 2 challenges
A lot of
remaining.
you at home may not realise there's a time violation rule which Sock violated. As a result, he loses his first serve. So that was a second serve ace.
Sock with the hold. He consolidates his break. He's run off 3 straight games, and he finds himself with extra padding. And it will be Sock who appeals to Fergus Murphy,
So if I go like this, I just toss it real quick, and I start my motion, and then I can bounce the ball for another minute if I want. I mean, yeah, I started my motion. Yeah, well, once you start,
Sock just wanted to have a couple words with Murphy. He doesn't like the explanation, and he's going to still be docked. He's averaging, as we saw, 28 seconds. The rule is 25. So with the average, the way things come out, if you're averaging 28 seconds, there's no doubt he's taking time more often than not. And Fergus has been pretty lenient to this point.
Yeah. Very fortunate. That's his first time violation.
Now, Blinken, you missed it. The 7th game already on the board. James Blake ends the slide of 3 straight games, but he still has a breaking serve to contend with. As we continue on from the U.S. National Indoor Championships in Memphis, Tennessee.
You cheat the system, so it's legal. Why? It's part of the rules. Yeah. Oh yeah, am I gonna do it 6 times in a row?
A golden opportunity for Jack Sock in Memphis, Tennessee, to take out a man he looked up to for so many years coming through the junior ranks. James Blake on the opposite side of the net. They'll partner up in doubles tomorrow. Take on Marin Cilic and Andre Sa in the quarterfinals of doubles. But first things first, how about getting to the quarterfinals in singles? Last year when Sock came to play at this very event, he was ranked 306 in the world. By virtue of a strong performance throughout last year, he's currently at 168. Serving to try to improve his stance. Already up a set and a break at 4-3.
15-5.
Spent a lot of time, John, at Fergus Murphy in the chair once again. Still a bit bothered. Needs to put that behind him. It's an important step. Sock will try to find a way to distance himself from the distractions, put the blinders on, and see if he can make the push through in straights.
Finishing off. 30-15.
Just got to make sure that he's quick with his feet, Sock, and gets his momentum moving behind the shot, moving forward. He was on his back foot there, trying to get offensive when you're moving the opposite direction of where you want to hit the shot. It's difficult.
40-30.
That's the good news. When you're playing against James Blake, typically the focus is on Blake's offense and what he's able to do. Sock has been the one just completely controlling this match.
And the hold for 5-3. Jack Sock's victory in the opening round against the two-time runner-up in the last 2 years, Milos Raonic, was his first match win in 2013. He is one game away from making it back-to-back victories and a quarterfinal appearance here in Memphis. A break would be great.
Yeah, and that's what you'd like us to be talking about, is the win over rounds, the win over former Rodman before James Blake. Ideally, you just want to focus on how good of a player Jack Sock is and how good of a player he's going to be. But unfortunately, his attitude, just his mental fragility has given us something else to talk about.
Boy, he still strikes the ball so well. When he gets a clean shot, the velocity with which he is able to return the ball to his opponents is spectacular. James Blake hasn't given up anything in that regard. Blake held serve in 62 seconds last time to get to 4-3. And this is pretty rapid in its own right. Another quick service game in less than a minute from James Blake. So it'll be up to Jack Sock. See if he can protect his lead and reach the final 8 in Tennessee. Back in 2006, currently 109. James Blake trying to put up a little fight, some resistance against Jack Sock, his doubles partner. Preclude, at least for the moment, if not stop, the 20-year-old from advancing onto the quarterfinals. It looks like it could be a done deal. It's just up to Jack Sock. A hold of serve produces the proper, necessary, and desired result. But there are no guarantees. Nebraskan steps up. This would be a fantastic opportunity to put together back-to-back match wins at this ATP World Tour 500 event. Jack Sock serving for the quarterfinals.
Let's from strong. Thanks, madam. At the back of the hall, 3 rows back, your flashlight is permanently on. Red striped shirt. Thanks, madam.
Wow, that's being called out by Fergus Murphy, right?
Thank you.
Right out in front of everybody. It's a new camera. I don't know how to use it. It was a gift.
15. 39.
Yeah, it's been fun to see him back, hasn't it? It may not go his way tonight. Certainly doesn't seem to be. But for James Blake, there are flashes of the James of old. And the movement, still a lot of quickness there. Ball striking as powerful. But being able to keep up has been a challenge. Jack Sock is issued the ultimate challenge. Blake will challenge the call itself himself. This requires an official review, but it was flush on the line. And it brings up match point for Sock.
40-15, Blake has one challenge remaining.
To see a match finish. High octane and both bringing everything they have. Blake trying to save match point. Sock converted. And the doubles pair shake hands. They'll be back on the court tomorrow as a team. But James Blake has been dismissed as Jack Sock, for the first time in 2013, makes it back-to-back match wins as he takes out the runner-up from more than a decade ago out of the tournament 7-5, 6-4.
Just seeing a player that will play a huge role in the future of American tennis. And we're saying goodbye tonight to a player that has played a huge part in the last 10 years.
Yeah, for James Blake, he just has not fared well here since reaching the final in 2002. Unable to put back-to-back match wins together, he falls to 8-10 lifetime in Memphis, and he finds himself upended by the 20-year-old. For Sock, some solid numbers in a number of areas, some areas to work on. We're not even talking about away from the game. Let's talk specifically about within the confines of the lines.
Yeah, you'd like to see him serve a little bigger. He was very effective when his first serve found the mark, but 8 double faults, that's a big concern. Blake wasn't able to make him pay for some of those mistakes, just 1 of 10 on break points, but overall there were a lot of positives for Jack Sock. He has some serious weaponry and he's just going to get better.
So it's all finished up for Jack Sock. He finds his way into the quarterfinals at the U.S. National Indoor Championships. A great effort from the youngster with a